Hello, I'm Dr. Anna. We live in a particularly tense and stressful time right now. It is normal to feel frustrated and anger can rise. Anger is there to tell us that something is wrong. Like the warning light in a car, it signals that there is a problem, but it does not solve the problem. Anger is not supposed to be an end in itself. As a signal, feeling angry is not wrong, but it is the inappropriate expression of anger that is wrong. Uncontrolled anger makes everything worse and brings destruction on all it touches. That is why the Bible tells us in Proverbs 29:22, a man of anger starts fights, and a man with a bad temper is full of wrongdoing. If you had ever lost your temper and said or done things you regret, you are not alone. All of us had times like that. The important thing is to learn new strategies to minimize and prevent them from happening again. We will discuss 4 steps that all of us can do to gain better self-control against unbridled anger. We have an internal anger gauge from 1 to 10. 1 represents no anger, and a 10 is an explosive, out-of-control state like cussing at your spouse or breaking things in your kitchen. A 5 is a midway before saying things you regret or throwing things. Step 1 is to keep the gauge below a 5. Do not continue to stew in the anger such that the gauge goes beyond a 5. The higher the number goes, the more difficult it will be to control your temper. Some years ago, there was a popular notion that one needs to let anger run its course to get it all out, like by screaming or hitting a punching bag. This is completely false. There's no fixed amount of anger to be let out. Since anger is an emotion for signaling, it will keep coming up whenever you sense that something is wrong. Letting temper flare leads to a shorter and shorter fuse. Anger begets anger. But putting a cap on it brings greater self-control. Some people say that they cannot cap their anger, that they go from a 1 to a 10 instantaneously. This is also not true. For one thing, the Bible tells us in Psalm 37:8, refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. If anger is unstoppable, then God will not ask us to do something that we cannot do. Additionally, think of the times when you're angry and the phone rings. You are able to pick up the phone and answer, "Hello," in a calm and cheery voice. You have more power and control than you may think. Step 2 for taming your anger is to implement coping strategies. It is easier to enact them when your anger gauge is below a 5. One of the simplest strategies is to take a timeout. Timeout just means to take a step back and pause instead of reacting. It may mean removing yourself from the situation or stopping a conversation that is making you mad. You may take a break, like go to the bathroom, or postpone a conversation to another time. A timeout is effective in the heat of the moment to give you time to calm down so you don't get to the point of blowing up. During the timeout, you can take a walk, do yoga or tai chi, talk to a trusted person, take a bath, listen to soothing music, write in a journal, recite scripture, or pray to release your anger to God. You can also practice relaxation exercises. These tools are discussed in the videos Overcome Anxiety Parts 1 and 2. If you have not seen them yet, I encourage you to do so. These techniques include slow deep breathing, calming self-talk, and visualization. Practicing relaxation has the highest success rate on managing anger, and it will calm you down. Another coping strategy is thought stopping. Thought stopping means commanding yourself to stop dwelling on things that make you mad. For example, say to yourself in your mind phrases like, "Stop, just stop," "Don't go there," or "Stop thinking this way or it'll get worse." In thought stopping, you work to stop reactive or hot thoughts. Step 3 is to replace hot thoughts with cool, reflective ones. For example, replace the hot thought of, "He is an idiot," with a cool thought like, "He is human and we all make mistakes." A thought of, "This is terrible," can be replaced with a cool thought like, "It's not what I want, but I can deal with it." Or, "It's not worth being mad over this." Cool thoughts move you from reacting to controlled, rational thinking. Recall that anger is a signal for telling us that something is wrong. Cool thoughts leads you to clear thinking so you can resolve problems more effectively. That takes us to step 4, which is to do the best thing. Ask yourself, what will be the best for me, for others, and for this situation? What will be the most effective action? Reflect on your values and on teachings from the Bible. You may also ask yourself, what would Jesus do? And model yourself after him. If you have a significant issue, you can pray about it and consult with godly people before deciding on next steps. Let's use an example and go through the 4 steps. Suppose you ask someone a question, but she's texting on her cell phone. You spoke again, but she did not respond. The hot thought of, "How dare she?" came to mind. Feeling that your anger is going up to a 3, you took a time out to the bathroom. While there, you practiced thought stopping and said to yourself, "Take it easy, it's not a big deal. Maybe she didn't hear me." You replaced hot thoughts with cool ones. Then you started contemplating what to do next. You asked yourself, what would be the best for me, for her, and for this situation? You decided that you would clear the air and talk with her. So you asked yourself the next question. What will be the most effective action? You determined that comments like, "Hey, I'm talking to you," or "How dare you ignore me," would not be effective because they tend to provoke strife. So you approached her and said calmly, "I don't know if you heard me a few moments ago. I needed to ask you a question. Is this a good time for us to talk?" Most likely, your calm demeanor will generate a favorable response. In conclusion, inappropriate expression of anger destroys everything in its path. A person filled with anger tends to be filled with stress, anxiety, depression, and strife. It is important to note that alcohol lowers inhibition and causes temper to surge faster. Aside from poor mental health, prolonged anger also leads to headaches, digestive problems, high blood pressure, and heart disease. That is why the Bible tells us in Ephesians 4:26, "If you become angry, do not let your anger lead you into sin, and do not stay angry all day." If controlling your temper is a challenge, do not be discouraged. You might have learned to express anger in a certain way, but it can be unlearned. Replace old ways with the new ways that we discussed. You will find that in time, you will get better and better at it. Your efforts will not be in vain. You will be rewarded with better relationships, more successes, better health, a closer walk with God, and a greater sense of peace and well-being. Keep at it.